Super, thanks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. My name is Doug Brunke. I am the founder and CEO of Global Chamber. One thing that just strikes me every hour of every day, and that is how much opportunity there is around the world. It's hard to do a business. Most businesses fail, just normal businesses, but businesses that do business across regions, across borders, have a higher level, a higher bar to achieve. It's more complicated. You've got cultures, you've got different regulations. There's harder to connect up with your end user because there's a distance that's between you and that person, meaning you and the business and your clients. And so all things about international business are more difficult. However, the good news is there's Global Chamber. And certainly what our goal is two things that seem to be counterintuitive that go together. Number one is open up new opportunities at the same time as making things simpler. And so I think so far we've done that largely by creating a trusted network. It's simpler to work with people that you trust more. It's simpler to work with people that you like. It's simpler to do that. There are a lot less headaches. That's certainly part of it, a trusted community wherever you're doing business. And that's certainly our goal every single day, to vet our members, to understand who's good to make introductions to, et cetera. And the second piece now is Globi, and Globi's coming up. We've already have it working internally, and we're rolling it out to members. Rolling it out is probably too aggressive a statement. We're still have some work to do to be able to do that. But Cesar Trabanco is working on that as his number one priority, to be able to allow members to be able to find events and find connections, including clients and including resources, to be able to be more successful. And ultimately, it'll be a tool to also help you with your business. And so there's a lot of those out there and coming out there, and we will have, I think, the best. And so we'll see. But in terms of Globi and business and trust, those are all things that we're focused in on. One person that I trust implicitly is Maimun, who is focused in on this conversation today. I mentioned about opportunities around the world. Wow, Bangladesh. Maimun, there's so many great opportunities, and I know you've highlighted and spotlighted some of them today. Thank you for our opportunity here to learn more from our members and from you. You are Executive Director for Dhaka, Bangladesh. You're doing a great job. You've been involved with Global Chamber for a number of years. Very impressed the way you handle your advisory board, and so happy that you're part of our team and that your leadership is able to pull together both the advisory board and the chapters in Bangladesh. I think we got some really interesting things to talk about today. How would you like to start?
Thank you so much, Doug. There's a lot, actually. So I'll first like to welcome everyone. Hi, I'm Maimun Rashid Mustafa, and I'm the Executive Director of Global Chamber Dhaka in Bangladesh, as Doug rightly said. So today's Globinar, hosted by Global Chamber Bangladesh and Global Chamber North America, offers an exciting deep dive into the rapidly growing trade and investment opportunities between Bangladesh and North America. Let me share some background today why today's webinar is important. In 2024, U.S. Bangladesh trade surpassed an impressive $12.4 billion, with Bangladeshi ready-made garments exports to the U.S. jumping over 26% in the first quarter of 2025. Canada's engagement has also been vital, and it's been thriving, with trade reaching $3.27 billion and fresh opportunities emerging out in textiles and garments, but also in agriculture, clean technology, and innovation. One key development to note is the reciprocal tariff between the US and Bangladesh, which has recently been lowered from 35% to 20%, making imports from Bangladesh even more competitive in the US market. This session will explore how businesses can seize the moment by leveraging shifting global sourcing trends, narrowing trade deficits, and expanding bilateral investment talks. So get ready to gain some actionable insights on trade investment, tech, and legal strategies that will position your company for success in this dynamic and fast-growing corridor. Let's explore this tremendous opportunity together. So without further ado, let me introduce our first and our keynote speaker, Syed Asir Haq, who is the founder partner of A&A Global Consultants, and they specialize in cross-border ventures and digital transformation with global technology and apparel companies. He also serves as director at HKS Global and brings extensive experience from Bangladesh, Singapore, and New Zealand, focusing on sustainable growth and strategic partnerships. Asir is active in global leadership communities and advisory boards, including Global Shapers and Global Chamber of Bangladesh. So, Asir, it's over to you. Your 10 minutes start now.
Thank you, Mohammed Bhai. Hi everyone. Good afternoon or morning to everyone from all around the world, and evening to those in Bangladesh. I'd just like to share my screen to start off. Can everyone hear me okay? Is that all good? Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. All right, can you guys see my screen? Perfect. All right, so I usually like to start off with a story, so just bear with me for a little while. But this story is important to some level in the context of today's Globinar, where we are discussing possible collaborative opportunities with our friends from North America and around the world. So one question that I've usually been asked, and far too many times, is why did you come back to Bangladesh? And you see, for the longest time, I believed that I would not be settled in Bangladesh or living in Bangladesh. Because I left Bangladesh at the age of 12 for higher school education in Singapore, and then went on to New Zealand for my higher education. And from that time that I left Bangladesh, I was pretty sure that this is not the right place for me. I mean, I was looking at getting a good job at Deloitte, getting through to my PR in New Zealand, and had all sorts of plans for my future. But Bangladesh was not in it. Then, as you have the unpredictable nature of life, and due to some unavoidable circumstances and financial difficulties, I had to kind of abandon all of my plans and routines and fly back to Bangladesh, but this time for good. So it was a country that I hadn't lived in for 9+ years. But don't get me wrong, I loved coming back to Bangladesh, as long as it wasn't more than just a holiday. I was obviously missing my family, my friends, the amazing food, and the comfort. Uh, but that was it. And you can imagine, when I had moved back due to the reasons out of my control, I wasn't too happy about it. In fact, I was devastated. So for a long time, I didn't allow myself to really explore and give Bangladesh a chance. Um, but I was never someone who'd be there and just sulking. I believe that I'm a dreamer and an opportunist. So I did exactly what I wanted to do, and that was to explore being an entrepreneur. So I founded my first startup, which took off very quickly, and then it crashed and burned and failed miserably. So I understood really quickly that I was never going to find success by bringing a foreign mindset and idea and culture and implementing it here. The culture, the mindset, and the risks, the needs, the wants in Bangladesh were completely different than what I was used to. But the most important thing, in my opinion, that I learned about Bangladesh itself was that the people were very, very forgiving. And it really truly felt like a community. I was encouraged, I was motivated, and most of all, I felt a level of respect that I didn't think I deserved at that time. Um, but it fueled me to start my next venture and then my next and my next. And now success is subjective, of course, and to each their own. But for me, I felt that I had succeeded. I'm ambitious and of course I have bigger plans, but that doesn't take away from the success that I had found thus far. So over the next few years, I had multiple opportunities to leave Bangladesh and move abroad. But this time and every time I chose to stay simply because the company gave me the opportunity to do what I love and saw the potential in me. And now I see its potential for where it can be. I believe now it's my responsibility among many other young leaders and dreamers to take this country forward to the next stage. And don't get me wrong, there are many things that I would personally love to change and be and make sure that it's better here. But as a young entrepreneur, it has really taught me some of the best lessons in life, and it has helped me to understand why this is the future. Now, I chose these two pictures on purpose because it shows what Bangladesh is all
Sir,
about. Yes.
we don't see the pictures because we're seeing the text from, there we go. That's much better.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
the
I'm
two
so
pictures
sorry.
there are on your
You guys
slide.
were not supposed to see the text. But all right, okay. Is this okay now?
Now we can see it. Yep.
All
Yep.
right, okay.
Please go ahead.
So yeah, so I chose these two images for a reason, and the reason is that it shows that Bangladesh is resilient, hardworking, and we have a go-get-it attitude. So Bangladesh is quietly becoming a global powerhouse, right? It is something that is becoming more of a reality every day. So bringing back to my first question that I was always asked is why did you come back to Bangladesh? Is yes, initially I didn't have an option, but then I did choose to. And that is because I want to be a part of Bangladesh's journey to become a global powerhouse, and I want to be part of the history that we're going to make. Um, and so Bangladesh as a market, when I want to talk about Bangladesh to my friends from abroad, I usually generally start with hey, look how well we're doing with our growth, right? And that is actually a very good place to start because the GDP is a very good indicator of where Bangladesh should be and can be, right? Let's do a bit of comparison with the global market here first. And so you can see that so this data is from the World Bank, and this is from the past 10 years, right? And Bangladesh's GDP is growth rate is among the top eight, which I think is brilliant. And when we compare it with Asia and our neighboring countries, as well as our competitive countries like Vietnam and India, we are performing where we should be. Now, granted, this year, because of a lot of political turmoil and the recent issues in the country and everything, the GDP is projected to be around, growth is expected to be around 3.5. So we're not exceeding the expectations this year, but we're very hopeful for the years going forward. And a few characteristics of Bangladesh is that we are a population of 171 million strong people and a workforce of 63.5 million people plus. And that shows that there's over 100 million youth in this country and that the country is a country for the future. Some of the leading products in our export category is RMG, ready-made garments, home textile, leather, agricultural products, jute-made products, pharmaceuticals, and manpower being a big one, um, as a service, of course. And our top products in the import range is from textile to iron, steel, lubricants, oil, capital machinery. Our top export partners is USA with 20%, Germany with 14.6%, and so on and so forth, with Canada at 2.9% as well. And our import partners are China with 25.3%, India with 16.9%, and US is at 4.4%. So we are a very, very global country because you can see that we have a lot of good trade relations with many countries around the world. And as Mr. Maimoon had said previously, that a lot of our business is with US, more than 20%, as you can see. So I want to focus a bit on the RMG sector because my family legacy business is the garments industry, and I believe that that is something that has really propelled Bangladesh to the forefront of a lot of countries' views of how they see Bangladesh, whether it is all the positive news or in some cases, as we know with the Rana Plaza incident, in a more negative light as well. But we're here to talk about all the great things that Bangladesh has accomplished so far, which is Bangladesh is the world's second largest apparel exporter right after China, with our key markets being the EU and the US. And our RMG is actually 80% of the country's export, with more than 10% contributing to our country's GDP. Now, the RMG sector employs over 5 million workers, with more than 2.7 million female workers, which means that the females account for more than 55% of our total workforce in the RMG sector. There are about 4,500 factories in the country, with 258 LEED certified factories. Now, LEED certified meaning that this is the highest level of certification a factory in Bangladesh can get. And 255 LEED certified garment factories are actually the highest in the world, even higher than China's. Now, that is a bit of gist about Bangladesh. And just to kind of draw into a conclusion about how we can help, I'm the managing partner of A&A Global Consultants. As Maun had mentioned, that our firm's specialty is in digital transformation for manufacturing units. We work with disruptive technology from all around the world, who want to work and bring their presence into Bangladesh, and essentially in the apparel industry. We've got some very good disruptive tech under our banner, and we also help companies with their ESG framework and mapping. As you can imagine right now, companies needing to be more compliant, that is one of the biggest requirements. We help companies conduct market research, developmental work, and feasibility studies. We provide expertise and local access for foreign entities as well. And to go a bit more into our consultancy side, for management consultancies, we do business advisory for SMEs and startups, as well as business process outsourcing for foreign companies. And these are my contact details. I believe that Bangladesh is very ready and open for investment and collaborative opportunities from abroad. And there was a quote from a recent event in Bangladesh, which was organized by the Bangladesh Investment Development Authority, was by a gentleman called Nasim Manzoor, and he is a very pioneering leader in the leather and footwear industry. And he said that Bangladesh is indestructible, Bangladesh is invincible, and Bangladesh is investable. And I completely shared their thoughts. And I'm sure the more research you do into our country and the more people you talk to about Bangladesh and with us, you will find that you believe the same. And I had the journey from abroad to coming back to Bangladesh to needing to understand that this country is full of potential and amazing avenues. And I hope you do the same. So thank you for my time. That is it, and I'm really sorry for the earlier glitch where I didn't think you were seeing the notes, but thanks again.
Thanks so much, Alistair. That was very uplifting. Very good to hear about a story that I didn't know, about reverse brain drain, about bringing back talent, and of course the resilience that our country, of course, has to have. Now let's move on to our second speaker, and we're going to talk about tech. And I know her as the tech lady. She's a very old friend of mine. but Farzana Afrin Tisha is doing a lot. She's currently driving business transformation at Microsoft. And I'm sure she'll tell us more about how a US company is doing so well in this region, leading technical discussions across Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan. With 10 plus years in the IT industry, she has worn many hats, from marketing leader to cloud business head, bringing impact through strategic go-to-market planning, partner alliances, and community involvement. Tisha, over to you. You have your 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you so much, Maimun. My apology to everyone. Sorry, I'm not being able to turn my camera on since I'm still on the road. But hello, everyone from all across the globe. It's a privilege to be here today, as we have a inspiring global audience, and being a Global Chamber member myself. So I got introduced to Global Chamber, I think, it was COVID time. Maimun sort of invited me to become an advisor for the Dhaka Chamber. And then eventually I thought how potentially Global Chamber is helping companies to bring businesses and making connections. Then I become a member myself. So I highly encourage everyone else to become a member too, because it's not only helping businesses to get connections, but also to find out what are the other way of doing business. So thank you so much for it, Maimun. Really appreciate it. Since today's discussion, my perspective that I would be sharing about the technical landscape, what are the collaboration opportunities that we have with Bangladesh, among Bangladesh and North America, to be very specific. So when I look into the global tech landscape, it's very clear that innovation has no borders. I have experienced it in my last 10 years journey. And we have already, we already see North America as a epicenter of technological leadership. So it has companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and thousands of other startups which are redefining a global technical landscape. And also it's helping the world to connect, and it's working for helping other countries as well. So when I see Bangladesh, back in 2015, I think it was the time when Bangladesh actually figured out that in the IT domain, they can actually take their place in the global market, and they can see Bangladesh can see as a global innovation, global innovation powerhouse for the global market. So Bangladesh stepping confidently into that global innovation map, that was the intention back in 2015. And now it's fascinating that somehow now we are making more bridges with not only America, all over the globe, and since North America is heavily landing on research, deep tech, scalable innovation, Bangladesh is contributing with the agility, talent, and creativity. So there are many collaborations with regards to remote work, or more digital exports, meaning a developer in Dhaka now can work in a company in Seattle or other places in America. So also also we see a lot of cross-border synergies happening, which is really reshaping the global tech, which really means that it's no longer about geography, but it's all about capability. So if a Bangladeshi company, I have worked in a Bangladeshi company for a long time, and I have seen them, they have they have scaled their branches like any other. They have offices now in US, they have offices in Dubai, and they have become a solution provider or SI as a whole, and they have become an MNC themselves. So it's possible, whether you're staying in Bangladesh or in America, if you can bring business, if you can connect the dot, it's very easy to make the collaboration a win-win. And if you ask me, Microsoft becoming a success story in Bangladesh, how a US company is well established in Bangladesh and how they are making an impact. So I see that Microsoft is not only working with the government, they are also working with different other organizations, and they're trying to help different organizations to make themselves tech ready. The disruption, where the technological disruption is making companies fall behind, they are trying to help or embed it with their digital journey. So Microsoft is not only helping companies to sort of adopt the technology, they're also trying to build an ecosystem in Bangladesh. So whether it's a skilling initiative or it's different tech programs or startup investment, so Microsoft is trying to help the ecosystem. They're not only trying to do the business or growing the market, it's also empowering in actions mostly. So my personal journey, if I want to share a bit with the BD ecosystem, I think it's the journey started a decade ago, but not in Silicon Valley, but in Dhaka. But I am lucky enough to land myself with Microsoft, and I really have been a learner throughout my journey. I was fascinated by different tech communities. I founded one by myself with one of my co-founder, and that tech community has become country's one and only on that platform. And also then I joined Microsoft, and then working in the ecosystem, not only as an employee of Microsoft, but I also tend to sort of connect with different World Bank programs or UNDP programs to sort of mentor different startups, or in fact advise different programs or projects in government and other levels. So what I see in Bangladesh tech ecosystem, it has taught me three things: that you have to be curious all through your journey. You cannot sort of feel that you have learned it all. And it's not only in Bangladesh, all over the globe. It's the technological disruption has gone to that level that you cannot say anymore that I won't learn anything further, because that's not gonna be a answer, because we have to adopt, we have to learn, and continuous learning is something that will definitely help you to succeed. And community, second point which I share, that community matters. Whether it's a community for tech or business, suppose an organization like Global Chamber, it's actually they're sharing knowledge, they're creating exponential growth, and not competition. So this kind of organizations, communities, these matters. You have to be part of those initiatives. And also diversity is important. The third point would be diversify. You try to engage with different genders, different socio-cultural ethnicities and underrepresented groups, or part of other conversations, community conversations. So then you can actually multiply the creativity. So I think the future of technology is not about replacing humans. It's about enhancing humanity. And for Bangladesh, the next decade will be about becoming not just digital nation. It's about becoming an intelligent nation where every citizens would be accessing opportunities through technology. But for North America, where I see it, it's about scaling innovation. So they would be more into how to scale their innovations to the next level, how with ethics, of course, and sustainability and global collaborations. And all of us, whether in Seattle, Dhaka, or anywhere in between, it's about building the future where technology connects, empowers, and uplifts. So I believe that the future belongs to those who are curious, collaborative, and compassionate. And I would say, let's continue to build bridges between global innovation and local impact, because together we can create a world where technology would truly matter to empower everyone. So I think that's about it. There are opportunities of collaborations. We have to know who has what capability, and then we have to match together. That's how I see it. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Tisha. That was really insightful. And I think you mentioned a lot of good points that we have to adopt. We still have to be human while we innovate. I'm sure as we associate and share technology between North America and Bangladesh. We will grow and learn from each other. We'll also customize it to cultures, and we'll also need platforms. And one of those platforms you mentioned is Global Chamber. And I'm really happy to say that each of the three members that we do have from Bangladesh, and a lot of the members, who are joining in, are members of Global Chamber, and they know what this extra value adds to them going the next mile. And we know that we've talked about Globi 2, and that's in the horizon, and that's how we'll succeed together and be unstoppable. So let's move on to our third and last speaker from Bangladesh. And I thought that what would be a better fit than to talk about legal systems, because hey, the law is the law, and a lot of the time we get wrapped up to it, and business can't function without rules. So we have Arifin Ashraf Khan, who is a barrister of the Lincoln's Inn and advocate at the Supreme Court of Bangladesh, with over 13 years of expertise in corporate, commercial, FDI, and dispute resolution law. He advises both local and international clients on complex transactions and regulatory compliance, and is recognized for his strategic, business focus, legal counsel, and effective advocacy. Now, Arfin has been honored with multiple awards, including the Best Commercial Dispute Lawyer in 2022 and 2023, and Leading Lawyer of the Year by IFLR 1000. So without further doubt, I'd like to hand it over to Mr. Arfin Ashraf Khan. Your 5 minutes are starting right now. Arfin. I think
Thank you so much, Mamunwai, for the nice introduction. And good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today and an honor to share this platform with such distinguished speakers and participants. When we talk about business between Bangladesh and North America, we usually focus the trade figures, investment potential, market dynamics. But beneath all of these lies something very crucial, that the legal and regulatory framework that allows this growth to happen smoothly, securely, and sustainably. Today, I'm going to talk about a brief key legal dimension to shape the cross-border trade and investment, and share a few practical insights on how business can navigate them effectively. So let's begin with the business setup and investment entry. So first of all, the foreign investors operate under the Foreign Private Investment Act of 1980 Bangladesh, and the law guarantees equal treatment for the foreign and local investors, protection against and full repatriation of capital and profits. The investors can choose different options to start their business in Bangladesh. One is like limited liability company, or they can form a branch office or liaison office, or they can form a joint venture with local partners. So all of the above, the Bangladesh Investment Development Authority centrally facilitate and approve such investments. And after the incorporation or when the investment comes, they can run their business here very smoothly. In current days, there is no such hurdles in Bangladesh to do business by the foreign investors. And now I'm also going to give an idea of the taxation, because there are tax holidays, reduced corporate tax, and there are special exemptions in IT, renewable energy, and infrastructure sections. And also, there is a double taxation treaty with US and Canada as well, to prevent the same income from being taxed twice. So this critical piece for financial planning and cross-border structuring is very well maintained. Okay, so the main problem arises some days, that once the investor invests, there may be some situation arise that they do the wrong investment, and then the dispute came between with the local parties and the foreign investor. Then in that case, the investors has to choose their I mean, the local partner, if they want to invest with a local partner, they have to choose very crucially, because the contracts have to be drafted very well mannered, because in Bangladesh, the Contract Act 1872 is a very old fashioned contract, and no amendment has been came to that contract. So in that, in such circumstances, the drafting of the agreement is very crucial. And also in Bangladesh, the Dispute Resolution Clause is Arbitration Act 2021. The Arbitration Act allows international arbitration and recognizes foreign arbitral award under New York conventions. This means investor can rely on arbitration clauses in their contracts and have those awards enforced in Bangladesh as well as abroad. So there is a reassurance for foreign partners to enforcement of the arbitral award if they win the arbitration. Another the key is the compliance, governance, and risk management. The foreign investor also have to comply with the local laws like labor laws, competition law, IP laws. So they must have to also, once they come to do business in Bangladesh, they also have to comply with the environment regulations and anti-corruption frameworks. For example, they also have to maintain the service rules of their own organization. So, and on the other hand, the North American partners expect their supply chains to align with ECG principles, ethical sourcing, transparency, and responsible business conduct. So compliance should invest in a robust compliance systems, periodical legal audits, and staff training to management these obligations effectively. Okay. So in the legal landscape across Bangladesh and North America can be complex, but with proper planning, professional guidance, and compliance discipline, it is entirely navigable. So Bangladesh offers vibrant opportunities, young workforce, growing infrastructure, and a strong export base. On the other hand, North America offers deep markets, advanced technology, and capital. So with these two sides connects under a well-structured and legally sound framework, the result can truly be transformative. And I may conclude here now.
Thank you, Arvind Bhai. That was a very detailed in the short amount of time that we do have. But we know that you're an amazing person that anyone can get in touch with if they want to land in Bangladesh, or also with any country that is working with British law, because you've done your studies in the UK. Having said that, we would like to conclude from the Bangladesh part of our speakers and move on across the Atlantic to firstly Steve Lanier. Steve, are you still there with us?
I am. Great. Thanks.
So a very short introduction of Steve. He is based in France, but his office is out of DC, and he's a market expert helping the same companies navigate in the US market. And I think that would be very vital in our conversation today. Steve, you have 5 minutes. Please.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Mamoon. And thanks, Doug and Global Chamber, for organizing the event today. I think I'm a little blurry. I don't know. Before I wasn't blurry at all. And I'm not sure what, let's see, we can, maybe that will help. But you had my 5 minutes of fame, and just a quick introduction. Our company, we've been in business about 25 years at this point. I say I still enjoy it. When I get up in the morning, I like what we do, and our whole focus is helping companies to export to the US and Canada. That's really all we do. We work with North American companies and help them develop the markets there. I'm actually based in France. Our main office is in Washington, DC, and I go between France and Washington, DC. And just a couple of things that we do when we start to work with companies that are looking to develop the market in the US and Canada. I just want to go through kind of a step-by-step, very quick process. The first thing we do is we try to do a little bit of research and understand a little bit about what's going on in the market. And the research it's not just kind of academic to understand. give a quick case study. We worked with a company in the United Kingdom. They were making a washer unit that was used by hospitals. They were the #1 unit in the UK and Europe. They were looking at the US, and we did some research. We showed some of the product to different people in terms of hospitals and distributors to try to understand what was going on. Everyone kind of came back and said the same thing. We love this product, but we would never use it. And we said, why? And they said, well, to be honest, we don't wash anything. We throw it out. We have one-time plastic and we throw it out. We said, okay, well, welcome to America. And so we realized that they were going to have to sort of change their story, change their pitch, rather than selling it on features. You're going to have to really sell it on, you're going to save the environment, you're going to save money when you throw out waste by the pound. And so we really had to change that based on the research. So the first thing we suggest is do some research, try to understand a little bit what's going on. And the second thing, as I mentioned, is story. Story is very important when you look at the US and Canada. And we really work with our clients to develop a very compelling story. Story is really all the unique elements about the product, about the company, condensed into a minute. And then we develop sort of a pitch, which is the story in 10 or 15 seconds to really grab someone's attention. Again, it's sort of very American, but it's important to really have a good story and good pitch. So we work with our clients to develop that. Then we look at sort of what we call a preliminary marketing plan. And this is something we didn't do 20 years ago. 20 years ago, when we worked with our clients, if we talked to a potential distributor, they would say, okay, if we like the product, this looks good. But if these days they say we like the product and they ask, what's your plan for the US market? They want to know, are you going to support me as a potential partner, as a distributor? So we work with our clients to sort of develop what we call a preliminary marketing plan. So we put that together, and I think those are some of the preliminary steps that we use. And then we talk about channels to market. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but we can look at sort of distributors. Sometimes we look at acquisitions. Sometimes we look at multipliers, which would be different industry associations. Sometimes we look at going after end user clients, depending on what the product is and what is the activities in the market. So that's what we suggest when you sort of look at the market. In the US and Canada, there's a real potential right now. We have a lot of distributors that we're talking to that are saying, we want something outside of China. People are pivoting away from China because of the current situation. And so we're finding a lot of interest for suppliers that are not Chinese, I have to say. So at this point, I think there's a real opportunity. Despite the kind of the current tariff situation, there's a lot of activity going on, a lot of new activities, a lot of new suppliers being introduced at this point. But we would say, do a little research, develop your story, work on that preliminary plan, and then look at your different channels to market. And if you do that, you can really increase your chances of success potentially in the US. So that's my quick 5 minutes, even though I'm a little blurry. I'll put my contact info in the chat. And if anybody would like to have a conversation, be happy to talk about what's going on and how we would approach and kind of brainstorm about entering or looking at expanding in the US and Canada. Thanks again, and look forward to talking to anyone to talk further.
Thanks so much, Steve. Again, due to the shortage of time, I wish I could give you more, but that was, again, very, very insightful. Thank you so much, sir.
No worries.
We do have another Globinar at the top of the hour, so we'll have to finish within the next 8 minutes. So I'll try to give both of our remaining speakers from the US some time, 3 minutes each. Firstly, I know that someone has gotten off a plane. Tom, are you there to join us today? Tom Torelli?
I am here. And I'm
All
not
right.
working for Avis, okay? I'm not working for Avis or Budget. I'm sitting at the airport in Toulouse, having just Toulouse, France, having just landed. I know nothing about the audience and what they're expecting from me, but shall I give it a shot?
Sure. Tom. Just let me give a small introduction about yourself. Tom is a lawyer from Chicago who helps foreign companies land in the US, and I think that's the best description I could give.
Well,
Sir, you have
thank you.
to let us know how we can land in the legal atmosphere of the US.
Yeah, I apologize for any at all background noise. I thought I was sitting in a quiet place, but pretty clearly I'm not. So, the first thing, just so you know who I am, I'm Tom Torelli. I'm a million years old. I have a little law firm here in Chicago. Well, not here, but back home in Chicago. All we do is work with small to medium-sized foreign companies doing business in the United States, trying to help them take advanced preventive action to minimize their exposure to legal risk when they do business in the U.S. Everybody knows that we Americans shoot first and ask question later. Namely, we file lawsuits more frequently than anywhere else in the world. There are reasons for this. We don't have time to go through them. So the first message I want to provide is that the U.S. is not for everybody. The U.S. is for those that are committed to being successful in the U.S. If you want to sort of give it a try and see how things work out, generally it doesn't work out. I've been doing this for over 40 years, and that's one of the lessons that I've learned over the years, that people that are sort of, well, we have a budget, we'll see what happens, and we're hoping to find a partner in the U.S. that's going to make us successful there. Maybe. Steve's good at finding partners, but usually it means that you've got to be in the United States frequently in order to preserve your interests and move your business forward. So that's the first lesson. So what do we do in trying to help clients protect themselves and minimize their risk when they enter the United States? It's what we do, and what we try to do is to provide a rather holistic approach to the whole legal situation in the United States. So what I'm about to say are those areas that you should probably be looking at as you consider entering the U.S. or you move forward. One, protecting brands, trademarks, and other intellectual property. Many of our clients have intellectual property because the easiest way for foreign companies entering the U.S. to distinguish themselves from their competitors is with technology. Price obviously makes a big difference, and that may be something that you may offer as well as an advantage. But in all events, everybody has a brand, a trademark, and that trademark needs to be searched and it needs to be protected. That's number one. Number two, contracts, sales terms and conditions for the sale of any product online or with deliveries to customers in the United States. Your sales terms should be adapted to legal circumstances. Contracts with distributors, with logistics partners, 3PLs, with employees, with agents, with licensees, with everybody. Contracts is where our firm spends more of its time than doing anything else. And you want to make sure that you have your own U.S. lawyer that's protecting you, whether it be us or one of the other million lawyers in the U.S., preferably somebody that has experience with helping foreign companies doing business in the U.S. The third area is setting up companies. Some of you may be thinking, we're just getting started. We don't need a company in the U.S. Our view is that if you're committed to being successful in the U.S., and as I mentioned earlier, you should be if you want to be successful, you should start thinking about setting up a U.S. company sooner than later. Lots of reasons for that. We don't have time to go through that. For your information, I am happy to get on a 30, 45-minute Zoom or Teams call with all of you, maybe not all at the same time, but with each of you to answer questions about what your plans are. What's your strategy? What do you want to do in the U.S.? What kind of questions do you have? I'm more than happy to spend that time with you to answer those questions and guide you, hopefully give you some good advice as to what things you ought to be thinking about. But setting up a company should be somewhere in the back of your mind, especially with the current tariff situation in the US. Namely, you set up a US company and you sell your products to your US company for cost plus maybe 1 or 2 or 3%. And then that US subsidiary can then sell full price to the consumer. Those of you that are in e-commerce and are setting up warehouses and stock in the United States, the thing to do is to set up an independent company in the United States that you own that will buy from you with your money, of course, will buy from you at cost plus the goods and then resell them. Some of our clients continue to ship directly to the end user consumer. At some point, the customs service may audit what the change in price, if you've already been selling at 100 and all of a sudden you're selling to your subsidiary at 52, there needs to be some form of motivation. But those specialists that are in the tariff industry, and we are not, but I have a network of several international trade lawyers that work in this area, you'd be surprised how low the price for importing your goods to the United States actually could be, because there are lots of costs and expenses that you are incurring in manufacturing, in providing support for the market in the United States, your brand that is being used that can be deducted from the price of the goods. But I'm talking here about setting up a U.S. company in order to reduce the impact of the tariffs. And this is something that we're doing in collaboration with a couple of different accounting firms that are specialized in transfer pricing related issues, which is above my pay grade. But nonetheless, we collaborate with a number of outfits that do that. The fourth area that we work in, so intellectual property, contracts, setting up companies, and corporate compliance, is immigration. Some of you may be planning on sending people to the United States. Understand that the sponsor of the visa will be your U.S. subsidiary. It's not the candidate that seeks the visa, and the Bangladeshi company is ill-equipped to serve as the sponsor for a visa. You need to have a U.S. company, and it needs to be related to you. And that's, of course, your subsidiary. And it needs to be up and active at the time the visa application is filed, not just sort of in existence. That won't help. So if there's a plan to set up operations and send somebody to the U.S., then the company needs to be incorporated. We can help you open up a bank account with one of 3 banks that we work with without the signers being present in the United States. We can save you a trip to the U.S. by if you use us, because since we set up between 80 and 100 companies every year, those banks trust us. They believe that if we set up the company, then the client is not engaged in money laundering, which is, of course, the issue at hand. In any event, there are lots of things that we can help you with. Be delighted to answer questions anytime you want to. I'm not smart enough to put my coordinates in the chat, but if Maimun or someone from the Global Chamber, or you can contact the Global Chamber and they'll provide you with my details. There's no doubt we can make a difference, even if it's just answering your questions.
Fantastic.
The opportunity.
Thank you, Tom. You put the passing through airports. Wasn't it O.J. Simpson who was running through airports for either Hertz or Avis or somebody like that?
That's right. Let Hertz put you in the driver's seat.
There you go. Bonjour in Toulouse. Maimun, it appears that we've not only got back-to-back Globinars, but also it's on the same link. So that's exciting. And so we're actually starting the Global Chamber UK conversation, segueing in from Bangladesh over to that. Is that the case, Sophie and Cesar? Are we on the same link between the 2 cities?
Yes, we have the same link for two Globinars.
Okay, very exciting. So those of you who have been part of the Global Chamber DACA conversation, Maimun, this has been fantastic. You've lined up some great speakers. I just think you've done a spectacular job. Before we segue into the London meeting, I think you also had another speaker, so that's going to be very difficult given that we're starting in a couple minutes, the London. Would you like to make some closing comments? Because that was a very powerful and important conversation we just had.
Yes, I think it's been great. I would have really wanted Sadia to speak today, but the good news is, I think, Doug, you and I spoke that if this event was impactful, we would want to do a repetition of it or progress it forward with a version of a part 2. So that's something I think we would all be excited and want to go forward. I'd like to thank again the HQ for getting me Tom, Sadia, and Steve to come today. Exciting stuff to compress in just 5 minutes. But I think it's been very valuable, and we can push forward to supporting businesses between North America and Bangladesh as we go forward.
You really did a great job with the speakers, and they all did a super job. I felt really bad. I've been traveling, and I know I was going to pull together some North American speakers for you. I feel a little bit better because we couldn't have fit them in anyway. So I think that is a good segue into a part 2 around the opportunities. And I think we've got the opportunity to talk about Bangladesh, not just with North America, but for some of the other key markets around the world. It's an important and developing and ongoing, interesting opportunity. And so thank you all for speaking today. I think anything else that you'd like to say before we segue into the London group? Maimun or any of the speakers, any final comments, anything that you've left off?
Doug, if you could give Sadia 30 seconds to a minute, that would be great. If she's here, just to hear from her perspective.
Yeah,
Sure.
Cesar here. I was going to suggest that, given that Sadia might also benefit from the contacts in London, it would be a great transition.
So I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do this Globinar recording, but I would suggest we just continue on and maybe have a dual recording for both of
No,
them.
we can have Sadia say a few words just as Maimun said, and then we can close the recording, and then we're
Oh.
ready to
Oh, that's a good
record
idea.
again.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a really good idea. Thank
Hi,
you.
good afternoon, everyone. I'll just introduce myself really quickly. My name is Sadia Mohammed. I'm the president and CEO of Ocean Air Logistics, Inc., located at JFK Airport in New York. I'm a licensed customs broker with the United States government, and I've been listening to some of the things that are said by some of the speakers. Just be careful when you're doing business with the United States government. Excuse me, be careful on lowering your prices. You don't want to take chances because customers will come after you. But anyway, I have seen an increase in trade from Bangladesh to the United States, and that's a good thing. I know that we're pressed for time, so if anyone needs to contact me, my details are in the chat. And thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sadia.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Sadia. Thank you, Maimun, and certainly all of you who have been part of this Global Chamber DACA conversation, feel free to carry on because we have a very exciting kickoff, and I'll let Sophie, I'll finish up, and then Sophie, if you could end the recording and then I guess restart for the UK. There's certainly a lot of overlap. And Maimun, what's your background on the UK market for Bangladesh?
It's huge. As you saw today, UK is one of our top 3 partners for specific industries. So UK has always been a great ally. We're part of the Commonwealth. A lot of great activities. I think we had a UK Bangladesh global meetup a couple of years ago. We didn't follow up on that, but I think it's pretty vital that we have that soon again.
Wonderful, thank you. So Sophie and Cesar, if you could coordinate the end of the recording, and then we'll turn it over to Zainab to begin the next conversation.